explanation of mental suggestion. So, Mike, I want you to go ahead and grab the Jo, both hands on top strongly, and just push the Jo flat to the ground. Just push it straight down, right? So Mike just pushes the Jo straight down to the ground. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend my key into the Jo, and then I want Mike to go ahead and slowly begin to push the Jo down to the ground. Push it down, straight down to the ground. Push it all your might. Push it all your might. Push it down to the ground. Push it down. Push it down. Okay, so now, first seeing that, you might think one of two things. Either this is all made up, right? So I said, Mike, pretend to act like this is hard, right? You see, if I do this, Mike was pretending, okay? That's not what this was, okay? The second thing you might think it is I have magic powers. I stick this out here, I extend my key, and I have a lot of magic, and Mike pushes down, and he can't. I've got him. He's really pushing as hard as he can, but I can't seem to bring it down. Okay, that's not what's happening. What's happening is simply mental suggestion. I gave Mike a parameter, or a number of parameters in which he can operate, and then I simply change the factors so when we're doing this, it seems like he can't push it down to him, but he's actually doing it all to himself. So when I stick the Jo out, first thing is I tell Mike to stick both hands on top. Okay? This aligns him properly. So I've already conditioned Mike. I've already told him, you need to listen to what I say in order for this to work. The next thing I tell Mike is he has to push this flat down to the ground. So I make sure he pushes it flat down to the ground. Now he saw how easy that was, so he knows that's easy. And I've also conditioned him to know he must push the Jo flat. That means he has to keep the Jo level to the ground. So when I tell Mike to really begin pushing, all I do is simply tilt the Jo back and forth. Let go for 1 second. All I'm doing, and bring your hands off. All I'm doing is this. Very small I'm doing this. Now Mike has to compensate for this because Mike knows that he has to push it flat. So when he begins to push it flat, I simply move the Jo slightly, right? Because Mike's strong and he's shaking in it, you can't even tell what I'm doing. So I've given Mike some parameters. He's got to push it flat and he's got to have his hands on top. So when Mike begins working, he begins working against himself. I can hold it here all day. I'm not doing any work. Mike's holding it up for me and he's working his hands against each other. This is a very easy thing to do. So if Mike didn't have to operate within the parameters, if Mike didn't think he had to push it flat to the ground, but instead Mike could push it down any way possible, when I begin to tilt the Jo, Mike will just push however he can push, right? There, Mike pushed the Jo to the ground. He might even push against me and down, right? So there, Mike pushed the Jo down. But because Mike believes he has to push it flat to the ground, he will work in a method to push it flat to the ground. I simply sabotage that. As he pushes flat, I tilt the Jo. He's working against himself as hard as he can, and I'm pretty much effortlessly holding the Jo. It's just simply mental suggestion. Okay? So this has nothing to do with amazing amounts of power, and it has nothing to do with trickery. I'm not trying to trick anyone. What's happening is really happening. Mike's really trying to push it down. It's just I gave Mike a construct to operate within, and once he believes he has to operate within this construct, he'll do his damnedest to try and make it work. So my explanation of mental suggestion with a Jo trick.